right, so we don't really have a name for the podcast. We're just gonna go ahead and do it live.
We'll do it live.
Do it live. Fuck it. But we're gonna start off by talking about the Friday the 13th franchise, which is very near and dear to both of us. Myself, Stefan JD, and
me, Rob St. John.
Yes, and today we're just gonna cover the first two movies. We're literally just gonna ramble on. I had a shit day at work, so I'm gonna be drinking while we're doing this.
Hey, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rob, where did you first hear about Friday the 13th or run into it?
Well, that's always the thing with me is I don't remember a time before horror was a big part of my life, because when I was little, my aunt and uncle babysat me a lot, and they watched horror movies around me all the time. And so, literally, since I can remember, there's been Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And because they babysat me, and my mom kind of didn't keep up with what they were letting me watch. So I got to watch it, things that I definitely should not have been watching at 4 and 5 years old.
That makes a lot of sense. I mostly did that when I was at my cousin's, because my parents were very no, you can't watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. With my mom, my mom is I couldn't watch anything like that, remotely close to something like that. But if I was being babysat by my aunt and uncle, yeah, that was it. That's what we were watching.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents were too I think it was more nudity, or I don't even know if it was violence. I just think it was mainly nudity that they were
That was always a, hey, turn your head, close your eyes. We'll tell you when to open them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always looking through the slits.
Trying to see a nipple. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo! My first time seeing Jason was, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad was flipping through the channels, and he was flipping back and forth between Star Trek and something else, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This was in the 90s. And
good shit.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, it made no sense to me, but
Yeah.
as an adult, loved it.
As an adult, it's great, right?
Yes, 100%. We'll have to talk about that sometime too.
Yes.
But he was flipping back and forth, and I was like, Dad, I don't want to watch Star Trek. Change it. And he's like, all right, how about this? And it literally was Friday the 13th, Part 7. The moment where he comes in with the axe and hits what's her name in the face.
Just shoves her out the way.
Yeah.
He just throws her.
Yeah, over the TV.
Yeah. Oh.
Man.
So good.
I was jumping up and down. I was like, change it back to Star Trek. But I didn't I played the game too as a kid on NES, and I got that was scary as shit at the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I didn't really get fully into Friday the 13th, which I'm just gonna call F13, so I don't have to say the whole name every time.
Yeah.
I didn't get into it till later, teenage years. What about you?
Yeah, because like I said, when I was babysat, I was allowed to watch it, but when I was home with mom, I wasn't allowed to watch it, and it wasn't until I was a teenager, and and I could ride my bike to the video store and rent whatever VHSs I wanted. That's when I kind of just dove headfirst into everything horror, anything I could get my grubby hands on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it ended up, and I find stuff that was great that I'd never heard of, like John Carpenter's The Thing. Or I would end up with something where the movie absolutely did not live up to the awesome cover art of the box, like The Video Dead. The Video Dead has awesome cover art, and that movie's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of that,
Yes.
Puppet Master movies and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a time long gone that we'll never get back. I like people who are too young that don't know this, have never like a video store was available. Back in the day, that's what you did. You took chances on Friday nights.
Yeah, you just rolled the dice basically, and you rolled it with what they were going to have in stock, and were you going to pick the good one or the crap? You know?
Yeah. I think like sometimes you'd want to get the crap, like if it was recommended too, like someone's like, "Oh, this movie's so bad, you got to watch it."
Oh yeah, so you could riff on it and everything. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's just like a sordid history with our sordid history with horror in general is I think about it was probably the same for me. I know my mom let me watch Halloween when I was growing up, and that was, again, a close your eyes thing. But that was the biggest ones for me growing up were probably Child's Play and Halloween. And then as I got older into teenage years, like you said, The Thing,
Hmm.
and then everything else came. Like obviously the Universal Monsters movies were always on TV during Halloween.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know in your area, but where I grew up, we had Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs on TNT.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Some of that was classic stuff, and some of those nights I'd be on the phone with like a chick from school, like watching Joe Bob with her while on the corded phone.
There you go. Oh my God. Whoa.
Good
I think I just
times.
had an acid flashback. Oh my God. Dude, yeah, that and Up All Night with Gilbert Godfrey, USA Up All Night. Um,
um,
I don't know if you got this. I don't know if you've ever got to see that, but it was they'd show horror movies a lot, and I actually got to meet Gilbert. And I told him, I said, thanks to you, I saw a bunch of movies I shouldn't have when I was little, and he just laughed.
did he do his like Gilbert
Oh
Godfrey
yeah,
laugh?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Okay. That's awesome.
yeah, because that's actually the very first. This is kind of weird. The very first Friday 13th movie I remember seeing, like I remember actually being there watching it, was Part 5, and of course that's not even Jason. So
Oh yeah.
it's not
Roy
Roy.
Burns?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old Roy,
Good old
paramedic
Roy,
gone mad.
because his troublesome son got murdered.
Yeah, I mean apparently don't fucking offer Axemen candy bars. Like that's a big no-no.
That's such a weird entry in the series, but it's fun.
And we're gonna get to that one. I should remind everyone today is gonna be the focus of
Yeah,
the first
first.
movie and the second movie. Let's actually get to that. Now's a good
Okay.
time to break in. What did
Okay.
you think of the actual first kill of this movie? The setup of just kind of the off-screen kill. Were you ever a fan of off-screen kills?
Off-screen kills are fine. They can set up like they can be a jump scare essentially. Stumble upon the body. But if the whole film is filled with them, or the whole film is just, oh, there's this guy with this slashed throat and this guy got stabbed and this guy got stabbed, that gets kind of boring. But like if it's like you don't expect it, like say it's that like you say a twist or a tonal shift, it's like, oh, they just open the door and someone falls out dead that even you the viewer didn't know was there. That's how I think that works really well.
And then it kind of sets up the tension for like
Right.
when whoever's backing away, if the killer's still there and all that.
And especially again, if you the viewer don't know who the killer is, or you didn't know that person was dead already, it works even better.
Yeah, it's kind of a good setup. How would you actually like? I think we should do this too, is give some star ratings to some of these kills. Just generally because like it's these movies, that's what you're there for. Like
Oh
we're
yeah.
sick, we're total sycophants. We're just wanting to see these amazingly nice, cool, generic teens get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's why you watch a slasher.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That that's not why you watch a Frankenstein movie, but it's why you watch a Jason movie. It's that kind of thing.
Right. Right. So yeah, I mean that like the first opening of this movie, two teens are about to get it on.
Yep.
Obviously, they're one of them's gonna walk out of there pregnant because I didn't see anyone busting out some condoms. And you don't see who the killer is. Comes in, kills the dude. He's like, "Oh, we weren't doing nothing."
Yep.
Yeah, right. And then he goes after the girl, and the camera kind of slows down as she's screaming, and then you get that quick like switch to the Friday the 13th crashing through an invincible window. How would you rate these opening kills?
For a brand new franchise.
Yes.
And that was just right there at the budding cusp of the slasher boom. That was perfect. I mean,
exactly.
It really was. Yeah.
Yeah, but how would you rate these opening kills? Let's say 1 to 5 stars.
I would go with, because of the impact that it had, and we're talking about the first movie, I'd give it a solid 4. I'd give them both. Yeah, because now if this was something that had happened in the middle of like the fourth movie, it would have been like 1 or 2.
That's fair.
Yeah, but because of the time and place of how this happened, yeah, solid 4.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna say like a 3.
Okay.
Just because it's a little middling to me, because I kind of wish we could have seen at least like the kid like get something in him, like a hand go out, but he just kind of bends over. We don't even get to see the actual weapon But yeah, that's all fair. I agree. Total setup right afterwards is just cutting to a group of teens, most cliche horror thing ever, heading somewhere in a car.
Yes. Yeah. They're going on vacation, or they're going to camp, or they're going to wherever. That's cliche as it can get.
Yes. And in this case, man, how am I forgetting his name? Sean Cunningham.
Yes.
Wanted to have something cheap and remote, and that's why it takes place at like Pleasant as opposed to something like Halloween that would take place in a neighborhood.
Yeah. 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 I remember an old interview with him, like you said, he wanted something remote and isolated. That just it made them feel isolated, and that's what he wanted. And I was like, yeah, that's quite. It definitely paid off for him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Did they? I think the camp's still there, right?
Yes, the camp is still there. Last I heard, you can still book and stay there and everything. Of course, it costs an arm and a leg, but you can do that.
Wow. If I was a rich man, I probably would. I would totally do it. Yeah.
I'd do that, and I'd stay at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house too, because you can do that.
Oh man, that's still there?
Yeah. The gas station is too. The one in the movie, that's still there. It's a restaurant.
I don't know if I'd eat there though.
Get the chili or the hamburger.
But yeah, I mean, like this first movie, my biggest gripe with it really is that it's super slowly paced.
Yeah, it is a very slow burn. Very.
Yeah, it takes its time. I'm trying to remember some of the kills because this one.
Well, let me say, but before we get to the kills, I want to, we got to give a shout out to the best character ever, which is Crazy Ralph. Crazy Ralph is the greatest character ever.
Is he the one that's like
on the
I
bike?
have worn the?
Yeah, he's the one on the bike and everything. Yeah, it's Crazy Ralph. He's amazing. He was. I don't know what struck Cunningham to put that character in. I don't know what it was, but I'm glad he did, because I don't know. I think it's because I think I have an uncle like that.
Also a little crazy.
Yeah, and one kill I do remember, the one that always sticks out to me, is near the end. Final girl Alice. Spoilers. Alice's final girl. She finds him pinned to the door with an arrow. And I'm just thinking, how fucking strong was that arrow?
Yeah.
That always bothered me.
It's made out of that, redwood oak.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But and then of course, do we want to go ahead and get into the big twist at the end?
Well, the other thing I was going to bring up too is that this movie, and generally all horror movies, will at some point have had somebody that was eventually going to be a big movie star later. And this one has Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon, yeah.
Yeah.
Who dies?
Oh, you know what? In Kevin Bacon's death, I would rate a 5 because it actually did catch me off guard and it made me jump first time I saw it.
Yeah, I'd give that one another 4 because it is painful looking, especially like even with today's high definition and everything, it looks real and it looks painful.
It does.
And it's
It
like, oh
does.
god, that hurts.
For people who don't know, he's I think he just got laid. He's smoking a
Yep.
joint, smoking a doobie, and he's laying down on a bed, and a hand comes out from under the bed over his forehead to hold him down against it, and then an arrow comes up through the bed through his neck.
Yep. Which
And
doesn't work at all in real life, but
you know. And the way they actually did that was Kevin Bacon had to sit under the bed. That's not his body. And then Tom Savini made this fake, body and neck for him to attach to his real forehead.
yeah.
And then they put the arrow through, and they had a tube that they were pushing blood through, but it wasn't coming out fast enough. So one of the special effects guys blew into the actual tube to where it squirted out faster.
There you go. That's doing your job. That's going above and beyond.
Exactly.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, so that's how you kill somebody apparently in Hollywood.
But that's something I've said we need to talk about is how important Tom Savini was not only to this movie but to the whole franchise.
Yeah, to horror in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, he a master, such a master that he even has his own school.
Yep. He's just a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. And I think part of the impetus for him getting into all this too was not only was he a horror fan, but he had went to Vietnam. So he knew that, when he was making special effects, he's like, well, I know what the real thing looks like. So
yeah, he was a photographer over there. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people will come back with PTSD, of course. I even live with a vet. But Tom Savini just generally, I think he just he pushes his PTSD into his work or something because he's a madman.
Yeah, all the stuff he's done throughout the decades is, amazing. And I don't think this movie would have made as much money as it did if it wasn't for his effects.
Oh yeah, and the franchise.
Yeah, because this was made on $550,000. And it made almost $60 million. It's like, geez, dude. And that's 1980.
Somebody got super rich off of this.
Yes, somebody did.
Somebody. But generally, the rest of the kills are kind of laid out actually in the groundwork and foundation of the camp. Whereas we learn things like there's an archery range. They go swimming. There's bathrooms.
Yeah.
That would appear later even in the video game.
Which is great.
Yes. And they look exactly the same. It's just wicked cool. And I'm trying to think what other deaths there were in this game because there's a lot of weird factoids of it.
Now there's that one where the girl, she opens the door. I think she opens the door. And anyways, you see it from the killer's view. The killer has an axe, and the axe is raised, right?
And that's right.
And the girl is just she just kind of it's almost like she just gives up. She just falls down crying. And of course, then the killer hits her with the axe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think, okay, all right, that's brutal. That's pretty good. But then, and I'm not going to spoil it, but then when you realize who the killer was, it's kind of funny. When you realize who she was cowering from.
She gave up pretty fast.
I
remember Tom Savini asked Sean Cunningham too. He's like, "Do you want a real head with a real axe in it, or a fake head with a fake axe in it, or a fake head with a real axe? What do you want?"
It's like, oh god, can you imagine working with him as a young, you're a young director, and he says that to you, and you don't know if he's serious or not?
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
The
the big thing though with this was, of course, Halloween was the big one that made all that money. It was a slasher, teens getting killed, and it made all that money, and everybody and their brother was jumping on that bandwagon, trying to get a piece of that pie, because as this show goes on, we'll talk about how, especially back then, horror almost always turned a profit because they were cheap to make, but they raked in a lot of money. And for whatever reason, Friday the 13th caught on and has lasted, what, 40 years, 41 years now, something like that.
Man, I thought it was 50, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while since I've seen the first one. Like, I see all the other ones. Well, I should say I watch 4, 6, and 7 the most, and this one every like once in a while. This first movie, all the teens slowly get killed one by one. It's a slasher, and at the end of the movie, you do learn that obviously, and this came up in the movie Scream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is that Jason is not the killer in
He's
this
not.
movie.
Oh my
It is.
God.
Yeah, I've seen that movie 20 goddamn times. It's Pamela Voorhees, his mother.
His mama, yep.
Do
Played
you
by
want
the
to?
late Betsy Palmer.
Yeah, the wonderful Betsy Palmer. Do you want to explain how she got into this part, and then why she's killing people?
Well, Betsy got it because she was in desperate need of a new car. She needed money for a new car. And so she took this role, even though she knew she would hate it. She knew that this film was just, this film was going to be dreck, and it was going to be terrible, and, mindless, dumb stuff. But she took it, and, she got the money, got her car, I guess. But then decades and decades later, she warmed up to the film and actually started appearing in conventions and documentaries, and realized that it actually made her famous instead of infamous. And there you can see pictures of her online, like hugging Kane Hodder and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean that always makes you feel good. But now the reason Mrs. Voorhees was getting a little stabby with the counselors was, I believe it was 1958. She was the cook at the camp, and her young son Jason, who was physically deformed, was swimming in the lake, and the counselors who were supposed to have been watching him and lifeguard were a little busy playing grab ass. And young Jason drowned, or so we think. And she has snapped, and during the movie, you hear the ki 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 ma 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 noise. That's famous throughout the whole franchise, and to her, that's her hearing Jason say, "Kill them, mommy, kill them." And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's why she's doing it.
Yeah, the first sounds of that is k, as in kill, and then ma, as in mom. Yeah.
Yeah, kill them, mommy, kill them. So that's so she's off the deep end, obviously.
Right.
And but then she gets beheaded by Alice with a machete.
Yeah, which man, I would hate to ruin this for people if it would like take them out of the movie in any way. I think with horror generally, you're just gonna be okay with any special effects you get.
Yeah.
Especially vintage horror like this. But that head of Betsy Palmer was held on by toothpicks. Tom Savini's the one, I believe, who does the machete toss, like the slash of knocking the head off. And then the hands that come up, they're man hands. They're actually another special effects assistant's hands. They're not Betsy Palmer's.
Oh, yeah. I doubt they would have been able to get her to do that.
Oh, yeah. She is genuinely fucking fantastic in this movie, though.
She's amazing.
Oh my God. Like, just the way she acts and how she knows that she's gone mad, basically.
That creepy smile.
Yeah. and it's just so good. Like she's like, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Voorhees. I'm a friend of the Christies," and uh,
Horrifying.
yeah. And I'm trying to think, but if I remember too, what's the girl's name that plays Alice, the actress again?
That is, I just had it. Adrienne King.
Adrienne. She had never done stage acting like Betsy Palmer. And Betsy Palmer, in stage acting, you actually do slap your co-star.
Oh, yeah.
And she slapped Adrian for real during the scene in the movie where Pamela slaps Alice.
Yeah.
And she went running to Sean Cunningham like, she slapped me, Sean.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, I could just imagine Betsy Palmer standing there like, wait, what? What's wrong?
And see, and that's what makes it funny, the kill we were talking about earlier, with the girl just crumbling, like, oh my God, the axe and everything. Because Betsy Palmer was like 55 at that time, and she was probably barely over 5 foot tall.
Oh yeah.
And you're just crumbling to this little old lady's going with an axe. It makes me laugh.
She does look freaking loony though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was an amazing actress. Like.
Yeah, 100%.
Sean Cunningham got very lucky to get her, that she was in that position to take to need that money.
Oh yeah.
Because that was fantastic.
I always play that. I always play that game too in my head of kind of like celebrity musical chairs. Like, if he hadn't got Betsy Palmer, who would he have gotten? And
Oh yeah.
I try to think of like famous old celebrities of that time, and like just who would it have been? Like, could he have gotten what's her name who played Catwoman in the Adam West show, or
Julie Newmar?
Julie Newmar, or somebody of the same caliber as Betsy Palmer. It's always fun to play what if, I think, on that idea.
Yeah. Could have been one of the Golden Girls. Could have been Betty White. You don't know.
Yeah. Can you imagine Betty White?
That would have been amazing too, though. I guess.
Oh my God. Man, it would have made like the same amount of money, I bet, if not more. Yeah. But yeah, she does really slap Adrian, and then Sean Cunningham has to explain to her, like, Betsy, we don't do that in movies. We fake slap people.
Whatever. I'm a highly trained actor. So I don't need this shit.
Yeah. Get me out of this fucking shitty blue sweater. I'm trying to think. I know one of the things that people complain about in this movie, other than the slow pacing, well, I should say that the biggest component of the slow pacing is that before Alice meets Mrs. Voorhees, she makes coffee, and I think that scene takes like 8 minutes of the movie of her just making coffee.
Yeah, that's what we call padding out the time.
Yes.
I mean, it was shoestring budget, man, and he had a bunch of, with the exception of, Betsy, that was a bunch of no-name actors and actresses, so you just kind of make do with what you got, and luckily it paid off.
Yeah.
Just saying, I mean, I don't know if that really excuses 8 minutes of coffee making, but yeah.
How would you rate the archery kill?
Oh God, it's so stupid.
It is.
If I'm allowed, if I'm rating it simply by it entertaining me, it's a number 4. It's a 4 because it's very entertaining. If you want me to rate it by like how like cool and original that kill is, it's like 1.
It's like fucking forget it.
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, it's so dumb and entertain me, and that's what a movie's supposed to do, right? Entertain you. So I give it a 4.
Right, and that's fair. I'm not gonna hate it. I wouldn't hate it too hard at all either. I would give it a 3 again. It's generally, in the case of this movie, a middling kill. If I had to compare it to all the other movie kills, then it's like, forget it. I'm not even gonna rate it. It's not even worth a rating. But yeah, it would fall in line there. that's basically Friday the 13th Part 1.
Except you gotta tell him what happens at the end after she kills Mrs. Voorhees.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, well actually first before there's one other little thing
Uh-oh.
that I think I should mention before we get to the ending. And this is kind of a downer note, but I'm bringing it up to make it a positive thing because this should never happen ever again. Is when Siskel and Ebert reviewed this movie, and I always forget, is Ebert the one with white hair or brown hair?
Wait a minute. Gene Siskel was the balder, thin one. Roger
Okay.
Ebert is the heavy-set, gray-haired one.
Okay, so Gene Siskel, when they reviewed this movie,
Yes.
he brought up the fact, he said, how could Betsy do this to her fans by being in such a trashy horror movie like this? And he said, I think everyone should write and tell her how awful it was of her to do that. And he gave, I think, her address live on the air.
That's awful.
Yeah, like to write her and tell her, like, this was a terrible decision. How dare you do this? And I always love Betsy Palmer's sarcastic wit comeback as, you know, those who can't do criticize and those who can, you know, something like that about acting. Yeah. And but I always thought that was terrible for this like pretentious ass fucking TV reviewer to be like, this woman shouldn't have done this thing. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, right. I mean, she's an actress. She got bills to pay. She needs work. You know.
Yeah, she did it for a new car.
Yeah, right. I will never give an actor or actress crap for doing a bad movie. I'll give them crap for doing bad performances. Mm-hmm. But I won't give them crap for doing a bad movie because they got bills to pay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Nicolas Cage, man.
God, we'll get to him one episode.
Yeah, just run through his whole discography or movieography. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you go in great detail on your favorite Ghost Rider movies with him.
God, I hate those movies. But yeah, so that I'm just going to point that out because I thought that was an awful, terrible thing of him to do. And from that point on, Gene Siskel lost all of my respect.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, and I never watched either one of them again ever after that. Except for like a Ghostbusters 2 review because I wanted to see how much they shitted on it. But at the end of this movie, Alice gets in the canoe and goes across the lake, and she's dangling her fingers in the water, playing around with it, just spacing out, looking at the sky for no reason. And the cops show up. And they're like, hey, you know, we made it. Are you okay? What happened? And she's still out there in the canoe. The music's playing very soft, calm, elegant. It's playing for so long that you just literally buy into the fact, all right, well, that's the end of the movie. You guys ready to go? And then all of a sudden, the corpse of Jason Voorhees jumps out of the water and grabs her ass.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Tin, 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 tin. Dun, dun.
And then he's still a kid corpse or whatever.
Yeah, a mongoloid.
Yeah.
Which I gotta give Tom Savini credit again. Like the thought of making him a mongoloid on top of like the terrible act of him drowning because no camp counselors were around. That's just icing on the cake. Mwah.
Yeah, let's see, like, you know, and I've always thought we're gonna get a little deep here. Well, I'm gonna get a little deep here. I always thought that might have been some of why I enjoy Jason so much as the slasher villain, is my favorite slasher. You know, his skull is obviously very deformed, right? Mm-hmm. So is mine. My skull is deformed. I have a huge dent in my head, and my face is crooked because my dad hit me when my face was malleable. So it's like, oh, look at him. He's a super cool dude with a deformed face. I can be a super cool dude with a deformed face.
This is why you walk around with a hockey mask on. I get it now, Rob.
Yeah, see? There you go, dude. But no, I mean, I've always thought maybe that was some kind of subconscious thing. Obviously, I'm not, any kind of doctor, so I wouldn't know. But I always thought about that. But yeah, the making him a mama's boy because of his deformities made him that much more tragic, and it made Mrs. Voorhees tragic.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, until she started stabbing people that had nothing to do with his drowning, but sure.
I almost like in my mind's eye. First off, they wrote the movie to where no, Jason's dead because Alice wakes up later in the hospital and she's like, "Oh, it was a dream. He's still there."
Yeah, he's still
And
there. Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, "What boy are you talking about?" And well, I should let you do that, Robert. You got the accent.
Funny. What boy are you talking about?
There you go. Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
But no, in my mind's eye, I think Pamela was there at the camp because obviously taking Jason places would have been difficult as a single mother.
Right.
And going to a secluded place to work as the cook, you got to deal with just a group of people who are going to see your deformed son. I think the whole plot actually makes a ton of sense in that case.
It really does. The only things that you kind of have to stretch your disbelief with is some of the kills, obviously, because we're talking about a 55-year-old woman killing these in shape guys that are in their young 20s, and of course Jason jumping out of the lake and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the rest of that, it's very believable, very believable especially for a cheap budget slasher movie. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And if I'm not mistaken, and they're going to be expensive and fucking difficult to find, but I do believe that there is a comic book that somebody wrote that kind of covers their trip from House Voorhees to Camp Crystal Lake or something.
Really?
It shows Pamela pregnant and that whole thing that happens.
Oh, that's nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a mini series, 4 or 5 issues. I can't remember if it was IDW or Dark Horse. It came out years ago, but it was 5 issues of showing Pamela pregnant, how she got pregnant, obviously Jason's dad ditching them,
Yeah.
and then having to raise Jason and getting to Camp Crystal Lake and what happens there and in the terrible circumstances. But yeah, I gotta read it someday, and maybe if we can get our hands on it, we'll review it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat. But that's basically in general terms the first Friday the 13th movie. It's not Jason as the killer, and the psych out at the end is Alice having this dream of boy Voorhees coming out of the lake to grab her, and then she's like, "Oh, he's still there," and that's it.
And yeah, that's it. And it was still kind of fresh, new ground. That was 1980. And of course, like I said, it brought in nearly $60 million. So they immediately jumped in, all right, we need to bring Jason back from the dead or something. We need to make another one.
After reading the lawsuit papers so many times, I can't believe I forgot his name, but who's the writer of the movie again?
John S. Cunningham?
Not Cunningham. It was
No, do you mean the writer of Ron Kurz? Of the second one? Or the first one? The first one was Victor Miller.
Victor Miller, that's who it
he
is.
wrote the first one.
That's right. And I think it's settled now. So
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. We're all literally every F-13 fan is please, Sean, give it up.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Come on, you're doing it to us now. Not his fault, everyone's entitled to winning or losing in court. But the second movie, which we are also going to talk about, Friday the 13th Part 2, back when they would say Part 2 for a sequel, which I miss a lot. I don't know about you.
Yeah. It's very nostalgic when I hear that.
I forget. It's another group of teens. How do you generally feel about this movie, though, Robert?
As a whole, I actually really like it. I think it's one of the probably top 5 of the
Top 5,
of
really?
the franchise. Yeah,
Wow. All right.
yeah. It is the beginning. Is a little weird.
Yes.
Because we'll get to that. That's kind of. But actor that they got to play the killer nailed it. I think.
Hmm.
Really, really brought it, and it was kind of, and it birthed a legend. We'll say that.
I mean, there are a couple scenes in here played by of Jason because it's Jason's the killer.
Yeah.
There are a couple scenes in here where different stuntmen had to come in and like play just that one scene as Jason. So it's technically not one guy.
Yeah, yeah. But the main
Yeah.
guy.
But the main guy I think was Warrington Gillette is his name or something.
Uh,
Named after a deodorant.
no, that was Warrington Gillette was him unmasked. That
Oh,
brief little bit where you see him unmasked, that's it.
that's right. When he comes in through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the
Steve Dash.
yeah, Steve Dash was rest his soul. He was the one that was getting hit and killing and getting slammed all around. Yeah, he was the one with the sack on his head.
Sackhead Jason.
Yeah,
This
Sackhead
is
Jason.
this is one of the like biggest just like what the F moments when I first found this out. Like Jason's so iconic for his hockey mask, and it's the second movie. Not only was he not the killer in the first, but in the second when he still doesn't have his hockey mask.
And then not only that, but he goes and Jason hunts down Alice, which means he left Crystal Lake, and that just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Well, here's the thing. First, a factoid. The first time you actually see Jason on screen, it's legs walking down a street. And it's actually a woman who plays Jason. That's a woman in the outfit.
Nice.
So it's not even a man who played Jason the first time on screen. And then I think he did it for revenge, right?
Well, yeah, obviously he got it because, he wanted revenge for his dear old mother, but he knew he knew where she lived.
Right. He went through the phone book.
Yeah, right. So I mean, obviously, but that's we're talking about a 1980s slasher, so you don't look too hard into stuff like that. It's just like whatever.
And I think when he kills her with a screwdriver in the side
Ice
of the
pick.
head. Oh, ice pick.
Ice pick to the side of the head. Yeah.
Yeah. And I give this kill 5 stars, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh.
Because when she screams, it's a real scream because the ice pick didn't retract when they shot it.
Oh crap.
Yeah, I was supposed to retract, and then he just like shoved it right into her forehead, and yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Well, that, and of course you didn't expect Final Girl of the first movie to get offed in the first 5 minutes of
Yeah.
the sequel. That's just, oh, there's Alice again. Oh, she's dead.
I think they even asked her, and she was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do better things." And then, of course,
Well, that, and she was being stalked by a fan.
that's true. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
No, that wasn't. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't her. That was actually Adrienne King.
Yeah,
yeah. No, right. No, she's right. She was, and she was not comfortable. You're correct. She was not comfortable, doing that again. But she agreed to come back long enough to have, her character killed off to, like, I guess have one, loose end tied up or whatever. But she was, yeah. It was like she was pursued by an obsessed fan and reported her and wanted her role to be as small as possible.
right.
And that's why she did it. Which, okay, I can understand. She's a young girl, and we horror fans are kind of weird.
Yes.
But yeah, so she bites the big one. Right in
Yeah.
it. That's it. And 5 years later, a school opens for counselors on Crystal Lake.
Yes.
And, and then then we get, and of course, here's our gang of teens that are going to be our victims for this movie. They come, and then we get the classic. They're sitting around the campfire, and the guy tells the story of Camp Blood and Jason Voorhees and Pamela Voorhees and all that, and that has become, I don't know, a kind of a cliche. The telling the backstory of the movie through a campfire, spooky ghost story.
Exposition campfire.
Yeah, there you go. Exposition campfire.
Guys, gather around. We
gotta do an exposition dump. Hold on.
Yeah, come on, get your marshmallows.
Yeah, because I mean they've done it, and obviously so many movies like The Burning, which is a great slasher.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. I love that movie. So yeah, we get to this. The kids are all here. We get the legend of Camp Blood and etc. And then before the training begins, the counselors are going to stay there and they're going to learn. And then obviously the kids are going to, I guess what the kids would be bust in like a week or something probably. So I guess something like that. But then who shows up but a man with a sack on his head, and he starts murdering everybody.
Yeah, and what were your theories? Because there really is no I mean, we should say in the movies there's no canon answer for how Jason came back, or did he come back, or was it? Well, I should say that there is a hint of it, which people can or cannot consider. They can choose to consider it canon or not. In Jason Goes to Hell, Part 9.
Yes.
In House Voorhees, there is the Necronomicon.
Yes.
And people have always theorized, well, then Pamela tried to bring him back with that. So Jason is he's like
a Deadeye.
Necronomicon Deadeye.
Yeah, which is, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take that explanation. I'll take, he never actually drowned. He just got lost in the woods and lived on his own crazy by himself forever. I'll take that explanation. I'll take that Pamela rescued him and kept him hidden, but still went off the deep end and killed counselors just because they almost caused Jason to die. And in her psychosis would just say to them, oh, you're the reason my son is dead, even though she knew he wasn't. I'll take any of it.
Yeah, my theory, I have two. That one was, yes, the Necronomicon could have brought him back. That's pretty cool, because then it ties together with Ash from Evil Dead and so on and so forth, and then you can really have that Jason versus Freddy versus Ash, which is a comic book, and I have them. But
yes, which are pretty good.
And that's great. That's a great way to tie horror franchises together. And then the other one I would say is that he did drown, and his mother died trying to get revenge on anyone that dared come to Crystal Lake. And then in her death, that's what made him come back to avenge her, because there is like a supernatural thing to Jason where no matter how many times they try to kill him, he always comes back.
Yeah. They can kill him, but they can't stop him.
Yeah.
And I hope, that I doubt that they'll ever make a AAA multi-million-dollar movie sequel to Jason X. I doubt that.
Oh yeah.
So I hope it's we're never given a canon reason on why Jason can keep coming back. I hope it's always that elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is it because he's so pissed off? Is he so mad he can't die? What is it? And I hope they never tell us.
When I watch the new Halloween movies, like Halloween Kills, and they're trying to give Michael reasons why he's Michael, it's like, I don't want reasons why. It's better to not know certain things, and that's what makes them unique,
Yeah.
And I think in the case of Jason, let him have that one thing. Like, why does he keep coming back? How does he basically regenerates?
Yeah,
because in the case of Jason X, which we will get to one day, Kane Hodder plays him, and he's basically fully regenerated. He's got his hair, he's normal skinned again, he's not burned or anything. I mean, technically, I guess he does come back from hell. I don't know. It's so hard to know.
Yeah.
But it's a cool idea, I think, that would add to the character than take away. So whatever it was, the impetus for getting him to come back into this movie, I really don't care. I like that it's a mystery and that fans can talk about it as opposed to a direct answer.
Yeah, never tell us. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
even if they do tell us, I'm gonna be like, yeah, whatever. I won't pay attention to it.
we already made up our minds. You
Yeah,
waited too long.
you waited 40 years too long. I'm done.
Sean Cunningham kept it in a lawsuit for 10 years. No.
Oh, you motherfucker! You kept my Jason X skin out of the game, you bastard!
But yeah, this movie has the final girl, Jenny,
Yes,
played
very
by
pretty
Amy,
lady, very pretty lady.
yeah, Amy Steele, who was like I think a 1980s, like she was an actress in the 80s, right? Because she was in other slashers like April Fool's Day and something else.
Yeah, yeah, April Fool's Day, Tales of Poe, stuff like that. She was also one of those actors and actresses that like in the 80s would appear on every TV show ever. Like Family Ties and A-Team and Quantum Leap and etc. All that kind of stuff.
Like where someone would go hear the doorbell, open the door, and then the crowd would start cheering because she's just standing there. Yeah. The cliche Family Ties. Oh, wow,
yeah. So yeah, that is her. She very pretty lady.
Very, very pretty. As a matter of fact, I would consider Ginny my favorite final girl, maybe.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not I shouldn't say she's not a fighter, but she's more of a trickster and a fighter as a final girl.
She what she does at the end took some huge balls on her part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of the kills in this movie kind of hokey to me. As a matter of fact, Jason himself, which I'm not criticizing the actors or anything or the performances, but when we get to know Jason more, he's not as goofball as he is in this movie.
Yeah.
He's very
with the look, the burlap sack and the coveralls or whatever you want to say. He's very Deliverance, inbred, West Virginia kind of thing.
Like Hick gone wrong.
Yeah, like The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's not the best Jason, and I will say that a lot of my fondness for this Jason though actually stems from the game because I liked playing as Part 2 Jason a lot. But I go back to what you said though. I agree that a lot of a number of the kills here are a little hokey, especially when you realize what Jason becomes and what he can do.
Yeah, how brutal he can be.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a gateway in my mind's eye to. It's almost like it's his first time going on an outing of killing, so he's not going to be a pro at it yet. You know.
He's got to learn, man.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, let her run. I'll just throw my machete 30 feet. I've been practicing. like that's the Jason we know later.
Yeah.
Or I'll just teleport because I have that skill.
Yeah, or do that Evil Dead camera thing where I fly through the forest and
basically. Yeah, and that's what I think how the character evolved, obviously. But in this movie, one of my favorite kills, and this is the actress in this movie. I fell in love with her the first time I saw this. I thought she was gorgeous, well endowed. She's this curly, freckled faced chick. She's played by the actress of Martha Colbert. In the movie, her name is Sandra Dyer, and she's sleeping with her boyfriend in the bed, and Jason impales them with a spear.
Yeah, it's like a fishing spear or something.
Yeah, and she sees it coming.
Yep.
She sees it coming. Sorry.
Be ashamed.
I'm gonna go cry now. But yeah, she sees it coming and she gasps, and then boom, and you see it come. There's a shot of it coming through the bed with the blood through the mattress, and I just thought that was an amazing kill. Even though I believe they did steal it from The Burning, right?
Yeah, was it? It may have been.
It may have been. I honestly can't remember, but I do believe another slasher did it beforehand, and they were quoted as ripping it off.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you ripped off our whole thing. We're going to steal one of your kills. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that one I remember. And I remember the guy getting the machete to the skull, because I want to say that was Jason's first machete kill.
Is it the guy in the wheelchair?
No, that's 3. That's part 3.
I kept telling myself, I was like, is that 3? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that's 3. Because yeah,
machete to the face. Where's that take place again?
No, that is 2. It is 2 with the guy in the wheelchair, because what they set the shot up, because remember, he gets hit in the face and he rolls down those stairs backwards, right?
Right.
And they set the camera at the bottom of the steps, and they were going to have it, and there obviously to be action. They were going to just push the dummy down the steps, and where it fell. And for whatever reason, it stayed in the chair all the way down the steps until the very bottom when it fell out, and it landed perfectly.
That's right. And I think there was even heavy rain during that scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Just brilliant stuff. I almost sounded like English there. I was like, right, brilliant.
Oi.
Jason's most brutal kills, starting at number 10.
Oh no, we're Watch Mojo or something. Oh god.
Yeah.
I hate those people.
Oh man. It's like crack. Like you know it's bad for you, but once you start, you keep clicking on the next one.
Yeah, like, all right, this will be the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, that is the guy that he gets a machete to the head.
Yeah, great kill. 5 stars for that one.
Yes.
5 stars for the spear in the bed. What about you?
Yeah, I go with that too, mainly because of her reaction, her gasp. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was so pretty. Honestly, it's weird, but I think she actually at her old age is doing porn now. It's weird. That's what I heard though.
Okay. Sure, that's what you heard.
Yeah, that's what somebody told me. I'm not gonna watch it. But there is another actor in this, because Jenny and Paul, which is just Paul's just such a generic boyfriend name in this movie, but they go to a bar in town, which I'm guessing it's like the only bar in town.
Has to be.
Yeah, because it's like super crowded. It's the 70s or 80s, I believe. So everyone's smoking inside, and they bring their friend Ted along, and Ted is played by Stuart Charno, I believe is how it's pronounced, and he stays there and doesn't die in the movie, which is very odd for a slasher. One of the teens that just he doesn't die.
Yeah.
And we also never hear from him again. Stuart Charno in the documentary, what's it called again? Camp Crystal Lake
Memories.
Memories. He thought that the reason why they didn't want to shoot him dying is because I think he dies in the movie Christine or something, and he thought he was bad at death scenes. Like they just were like, no, he's terrible at doing that.
Well, because Christine came out after this.
Was it? Well, it had
yeah, but he was in it though. He was in it, but Christine was 2 years after. This was his first movie.
Is that true?
Yeah, this is his first movie.
Because I believe that's what he says in the documentary. So I don't know.
If he said that, then he may be wrong, because this movie was 81, Christine was 83, and like I said, yeah, he was in Christine.
Now I'm curious if Who directed Christine? Was it Steve Miner?
Directed by Carpenter. Screenplay by Bill Phillips.
Weird.
Yep.
Well, that's what he said in the documentary. He was wrong.
He is the uncle of Ice Nine Kills lead guitarist. So there you go, whoever that is.
Yeah, that's one of those hip bands.
But yeah, I mean, it is right. It's almost like they lose the character. It's like he's there and then he's not there. It's like the script forgot him or something.
Yeah. Like Ted sucked.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, but fuck Ted.
Fuck Ted.
But really, this movie's teens do die in a very, I would say, like a timely fashion compared to the first movie.
Yes. Yeah. This is nowhere near as slow as burn as the first one.
Yeah, and in Camp Crystal Lake Evolves, this one specifically has a 2-story house that they stay in where they play cards and get high, and it's got a nice porch that overlooks the lake, you know, because you can't forget the setting, of course, which is just so iconic now.
It's as important as Jason is. The lake is.
Yeah, like it's literally, you can't have Jason without Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
And I would say even to this movie that this is one of my favorite settings for Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Robert's like, no, forget that.
No, I'm trying to think. I really like this one. I really like 7, and yeah. For me, it'd probably be a tie between this and 7. Actually, it's just I guess what you would say the cinematography of the lake and the campgrounds and everything.
Yeah, definitely the cinematography, the way it's shot with, because I think the only thing that could compare to the same like type of cinematography would be the first movie, and this I believe this one specifically is this Higgins Haven or is this Packneck?
This is. See, it just says 5 years later, Paul Holt opens a school for camp counselors on the shores of Crystal Lake.
The Higgins Haven is part 3, so I'm gonna guess
3.
I'm gonna guess it's Packneck then.
All right. What one? Which one's 5 with the home for the Wayward Teens?
Yes, this is Packneck. So 5 was Pinehurst.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And all of these names come from not only the movies, but you get to know them relatively more and like deeper in the Friday the 13th video game that came out on last gen consoles for PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're different maps, and you both as a counselor and as Jason, you need to know the map to know where you need to be.
Right. Because they generally are laid out in a way that you could memorize where like certain locations of things are. Yeah. But this movie, another thing I was confused by in the last scene when Ginny is running away from Jason, she decides to hide under her bed and there's a rat there. And it's never clear whether the rat pees or if Jenny is like wets herself.
I think she wets herself.
Really? You think so?
I think it was to make her more sympathetic.
Oh man.
I think. I mean,
you're not wrong. Like, there's no definite answer.
Yeah, but then we can get to the everyone's dead except for her and Paul, and what they are in, they find Jason's shack that he has out in the woods, and what does he have there but his mother's severed head that he has on a table and like a little shrine thing that I wouldn't even say built, he's just cobbled it together. And what is it? It's her sweater and her head, and they find that, and of course he finds them, and They try to fight him off, and he wounds Paul because Paul sucks. And then she, in I guess desperation or whatever you want to say, she puts on Mrs. Voorhees' sweater, puts that nasty ass sweater right on her, and starts talking to him like Pamela would, like his mom would, and that's what he starts seeing her as. Because what you kind of see it from his point of view, that he kind of sees her as mother, and then she takes the machete from him and gives him a big old slice to the head, doesn't she?
I think he snaps out of it. I can't remember if Paul comes in and then she does it. She slashes him from the back through the shoulder.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because she does kill him with the machete, but yeah, because he's about to fall for it, you know, that she's mother now, but then he actually sees his mom's severed head on the table.
Right.
And then he's like, all right, mom's dead.
Yeah, because she's covering the head, and she's like, Jason, mother is talking to you.
Yeah.
And Betsy Palmer actually does make a return as Mrs. Voorhees. And they, you know, with 80s special effects, they superimpose her head over Allison's or Amy Steele, Jenny's face.
Yeah, and he almost falls for it. Then he's like, nope, not going to fall for it. Paul tries again, sucks again. And then Jason goes to kill Paul with the pickaxe. And then that's when she whacks him with the machete up in his like shoulder, and he falls over, supposedly dead.
The hard part of believing like Jason is this imposing character is that I think even Paul is taller than him or the same height as him. And it just looks so wacky.
Yeah. And Paul's such a weenie.
Yeah. And I think there's even a part where like he's chasing after Jenny and she just like comes out of a bush and is like just kicks him in the nads and then takes off.
Yeah, they hadn't quite got that character down.
Yeah, the humble beginnings. But I do like that shot where he falls down. Like, it doesn't show his face. It just kind of shows, like, the side of him where the axe went through, and then there's this, like, trail of blood going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shots of the whole movie.
Yeah, and then, you know, she's getting loaded into an ambulance. But Paul, they can't find Paul, and they can't find Jason's body.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All they find is her, which is weird. So I guess he killed Paul and got away or something.
Things about Jason is that, like, he almost feels as the series goes on, he almost kind of feels like a like he's still got the intelligence of a child, almost.
Yes.
like a vicious killer child, in that he doesn't kill the dog, as we learn. He's not a dog killer.
Right.
That shows up and is like a minor scare for them. They're like, what's that noise at the door? And it's because Jason had ran into the little Shih Tzu or whatever earlier. And it's still alive. And then that's when the other actor who played Jason comes in through the window.
Yeah.
And so we learned that. And then later on, we learned things like, you know, Jason he would never kill kids.
Yeah, why would he? There's no reason to.
Right. Because they're not doing anything wrong.
Right. He still blames the counselors.
Right, because they're old enough to be like doing drugs, having premarital sex.
Premarital sex, how dare they?
How dare they?
How dare they?
So, you know, it's a unique thing to learn that while he is as a brutal killer,
yes,
there are certain things that he doesn't don't even register as things to kill for him. You know what I mean?
I always figured that he was killing anyone that, obviously, any adult at Crystal Lake, because he associates that with the people that killed his mom. Mm-hmm. And of course, he kills anyone that's like attacking him, or whatever,
or in his territory.
Yeah. But I mean, he's not going to kill a kid that's in his territory, though.
Right.
Like a little kid.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate the psychology of the character in that facet, and I've always wondered, was it the like MPAA, like, oh well, we can't kill kids in this movie, well, give us an X rating, or was it like the actual like no, he wouldn't do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they've ever actually said that.
Nobody's ever brought it up, and I always wanted to ask it at a fan question. Like,
Yeah, that actually would be
yeah.
pretty good because he sure as hell kills them in the NES game if you don't stop him.
Yeah, so we should say like obviously Jason's not dead. That's the end of part 2. But we did decide before we end the episode that we would talk about some of the games. I think we should save the other games for other episodes, but we should talk about the NES game.
The NES game? Okay, well, as a kid, it scared the hell out of me, even though Jason's wearing purple. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's ridiculously difficult.
Mhm.
If you do know what you're doing by like using FAQ or YouTube walkthrough or thing, it's not too bad.
It's almost easy if you
Yeah.
practice. Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't know, you know, you got to go here to get the lighter, and you got to light this and light that, and you know, go here to get the better weapon, and this. Yeah, you're boned. He's going to kill those kids and you.
Yeah. It's so hard to talk about this game in terms of quality because there is quality to it. Like
Yes.
they tried to make it as deep as they could for the technology that they had. And if you think about it, even like the game that came out on PS4 is the same exact game, literally. But you're not trying to save kids in that one. In this one, yes, there's a timer. He will. We should say the map is a circle, concentric circle within another circle, and Jason does go in a counterclockwise circle, I think, through the whole
Does he?
map.
I didn't
And
know. I didn't know that there was a rhythm to his. I thought it was completely randomly generated.
yeah, no, he goes in a circle the whole time. He literally goes from one cabin to the next, and then in the little like area where the caves are, where his mom is, he
Which
will
is
stop.
horrifying as a kid. As
Yo,
well.
yeah, scare the hell out of me. He will literally go through that area and then continue going in the circle, and then circle around the lake, and then teleport back out and do it again.
I actually didn't know that. I thought it was all RNG.
Yeah, no, there's a rhythm to it, and there's 2 camp counselors to pick. I forget their names. Sorry, it's been a while.
Yeah, well, I know Mark is a good one. I think.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, obviously, it's not the black guy.
Of course not, because Nintendo. Back then, you know, the minorities were there to be killed. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Even today, Japan doesn't know how to like handle
No.
minorities.
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah.
No. Whoa.
And,
That's beyond the scope of this podcast.
it is. And the other like fascinating bit is the cover art, obviously from part 7,
Which is kind of weird, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the reason for Jason being purple, my guess has always been because I think it's part 3. The Japanese poster, Jason is actually purple on the cover of that.
Is he?
Yeah, Google it. It's crazy. Anyone who's never seen it before, Google it. It's crazy.
I can't tell if I don't know if that's Japanese. Let me see. It may not be part 3.
And I've always thought that that's what they've gone off of when they were making this game. They're like, oh, he's purple.
Oh my goodness, he is purple. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So yeah, actually, that might be a very good reason why. I just thought it was a color palette limit.
Yeah,
that they were hitting.
well, I assumed it's that too, but I think that was like the main reason that they were like, oh, well, he's purple, obviously. We're not going to watch the movie. He's just purple.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And if I'm not wrong, we both own the NECA character, right?
Yes. Mine is autographed by Kane. Is yours?
I do not have an autograph on it yet.
Okay.
I had thought about taking it to the horror con I went to. I forgot I have a Kane Hodder story. Do you?
I do. I have a couple actually, but yeah.
Oh man, you should tell one, and then I'll save mine for the next episode.
Okay. Well, one of them I have is at a convention, Scares That Care. It's in Williamsburg, Virginia. It's a completely charity event. Once the guy who runs it, once all the celebrities and etc. have been paid, all the money goes towards families in need. All the money that's made. Anyways, Kane always goes because he's a super nice guy. Kane is always there. And I was doing an event for the kids where the guy who runs the place would take a group of like 10 kids. He would walk them through the hallways of this convention center. And a bunch of us volunteers were dressed up like zombies and they would shoot us with Nerf guns. All right. So, fun little thing for the kids to do. And in between the groups of kids coming, I was sitting in this just regular steel chair, this fold out chair, just getting off my feet. And one of the times, I hear the group coming, so I get up and I get in my position and I'm ready. And there's Kane. And he's just there watching. And, and Joe, the guy who runs it, is telling the kids, oh, don't worry about him. He's not a zombie, he's not a zombie. And of course they see me and they shoot me with the Nerf darts and they leave. And Kane walks up and he just takes my chair. He goes, I need this. I go, okay. He goes, thanks. And then he just leaves. He just took my chair after laughing at me getting shot with Nerf darts. He needed it because he was doing some kind of thing on stage and he needed a chair to sit in, which was like in the stage exit, the back of the stage exited right to that hallway that I was in. So he just kind of popped out, grabbed the chair and went back in.
That's awesome.
So he's like, I need this chair. I'm like, okay. Like, what am I telling him? No.
Did you tell him like, hey, you're Kane Hodder, I'm a fan? Or
well, I mean, he knew, obviously, we're all there at the convention, so he knew I was there as a fan, and I had already met him and gotten a picture with him. Whether or not he remembered me, I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't going to tell Kane Hodder he couldn't have my chair.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of Rob with meeting Kane, and then I actually do have a framed picture of me with Kane. And next episode at the end, I will tell that story, and I promise it's a good story because he's such a cool dude, and he genuinely knows what his fans want. Yeah. Even aside from being humble and all that, he knows how to perform even in front of fans.
Oh, and absolutely.
And I love him for it. But just the other thing I want to say really quickly about the game is that if anyone sees the NES game as hard, I'm not wicked talented at NES games, but I beat it within a day once I learned the mechanics of it.
Yeah, same here. With an FAQ.
Yeah, it's very diluted, would you say? Like it's
like when it's almost like, so it's like you can just go by step every game. As soon as you press start, you can do the same thing and it'll happen every time. Jason will pop here, or like at first I thought that's what it was. But then I realized that, well, apparently you told me Jason does. He's in a counterclockwise thing, which I didn't know. But the lighters and the weapons and all that, they pop in the same place every game, which I didn't know until I started looking at an FAQ, and I was like, oh. And then I followed the FAQ, and I'm like, oh, this game isn't that hard once you know where everything is.
Right. That's the biggest
what to
thing.
Do. Because if you don't, then you just wander around and he's going to kill you.
And essentially what you're doing, and even in my strategy, is you're taking your two best counselors and you're going and collecting the items as fast as possible, because at some point, Jason is going to try to kill the kids in the game, which he doesn't do in the movies, as we've stated.
Yeah.
And you have to fight him off but you grow stronger, and Jason gets faster. That's his big
Yes.
mechanic. Yeah. And the way you grow stronger, one of the biggest proponents of the game is fighting off Mrs. Voorhees' head in the cave area.
Which is horrifying, as we stated. And
Oh man, it's just even as a kid, I was like, no, I don't want to look.
yeah, it's like, I'm uncomfortable.
And it's a little Medusa, but it worked. You know, you get better weapons, and his health will go down along with him gathering speed to make it slightly tougher to avoid his attacks. But when you get into a rhythm, you can overcome the game. And like me and Rob both said, we beat it in a day. Just practice. It's totally worth it. It's, in my opinion, you could beat it within like 30 minutes if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. There you can see people on YouTube just tear through that game. A game that crushed me as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And we're fortunate enough to have the internet at our disposal. People in the 80s or early 90s, when they bought this game, it would tell you what to do if you read the manual. If you threw it away, you were fucked. Or a Nintendo Power subscription maybe would have helped you. I don't know.
Yeah, but and of course, when you're a kid, it's a lot easier to be spooked, and be scared of something or whatever. So, like when Jason shows up on screen, and that it's genuinely terrifying, even though it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, or even back then, like, because like you can't just like you couldn't just type into YouTube, Jason kills like part 7, part 6. You watch him in a super clip. Like you didn't have that. And
Yeah.
if you had the VHS, you'd have to like stop and fast forward for 10 minutes, hit play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I may have done that before a few times.
So different. It's a different era, but let's do this real quick before we leave. Part 1, part 2. Let's actually do a 1 to 10 on this. How would you rate them?
I'd give 1 an 8 and 2 an 8 as well.
Wow. All right.
The thing to me that hold him back is, for the first one, is the slow burn and the boring kills. And the thing that holds back the second one is, one, they hadn't gotten the vibe of Jason the way they wanted it, the way we know him. Him getting kicked in the balls and stuff like that. And it still bugs me that he was able to hunt down the first girl. That just irks me for some reason. But yeah, they both get an 8.
Solid. I won't argue with you on that. I do love Jason. I think he might even be my favorite slasher. Charles Lee Ray right behind him. But man, I would say the first movie, and I'm gonna be a little harsh, I might give it a 6. But I still think that a 6 is a good rating, because a 5 to me is half the movie was bad, half the movie was good, and 6 is just a cut above that. So it was just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then for part 2, I'm going to give it a 7. And I'm going to say, because there are cool moments, cool things that they added to the lore with Jason's shack, which is super iconic at this point.
Yes.
Jenny as a final girl, just Amy Steele killed it, man. She killed it. Bringing back Betsy Palmer, the shrine inside the shack, which is also just
very iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. He even brings his victims in there to lay it, like the shrine, to like, look what I did, mommy.
Yeah, he's very proud of himself. He wants her to be proud.
Exactly. And it's all just adding footing for the lore that would come later. I'm okay with Jason being a little bit poor in his kills, and that's not to say we still didn't get good ones. They're just not as good as what would come later.
Yeah.
Because more so of his he almost looks like he's having fun later.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like in this one, he's trying to figure it out, and then later he's like, "Yeah, I can't die. I'm gonna fucking kill all of you." So, there's a little bit of that, and I think that's why I would give it a cut above 1, but 1 is still a really good movie, and I think people should watch it.
Yeah, it especially like I said, it's 41 years now, and it was on a shoestring budget, but it's aged well. It's certainly not perfect, but it has aged incredibly well for what it was.
Yeah, 100%. I hope everyone enjoyed us talking about these first 2 films. Obviously, the next episode is going to be a banger because we got part 3 and part 4, which some fans would argue part 4 is the best film in the franchise.
I am not one of them, but it is a good one.
There we go. We already got conflict.
Conflict. Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah. Trouble in Paradise.
There you
go. Man. Weekend at Voorhees.
Oh my God.
Just Jason carrying around his mom's body.
That should be amazing. I'd pay to see that. I'd buy a ticket to that.
But yeah, that's going to be the next episode. I had a lot of fun talking about this. What about you, Robert?
Oh yeah. I can talk about horror and specifically F-13 for hours on end.
Yeah, and this has been like, honestly, me and Robert have met. We've known each other for years, but it's mostly been through a group that we're both a part of.
Yeah, and that this is about the only second time we've actually talked to each other.
Yeah, over like a
voice chat thing.
Yeah, voice chat. So we're doing something pretty interesting here. While you're getting to know us, we're almost kind of getting to know each other. Although I know Robert pretty well from his posts. He's a big dork like me.
Yeah.
So. But I want to thank everyone for listening, and I hope everyone gives these movies a chance if they haven't already seen them. If they have, celebrate the fact that the lawsuit's over, and now hopefully we'll get some more.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But either way, thanks everyone for being here, and don't forget. Bye, everyone.
Bye.